Every single day, thousands of men wake up, go to work, laugh with their family, and feel completely fine, and have absolutely no idea that cancer is already growing silently inside their body. No pain, no obvious warning, no dramatic moment that tells them something is wrong. Just quiet, invisible growth happening beneath the surface while life continues normally around them. And the most terrifying part? By the time most men finally feel something serious enough to see a doctor, the cancer has already been there for years. Years of missed signals, years of ignored signs, years that could have made all the difference. What you are about to hear in the next few minutes are the exact early signs that your body sends long before any scan or test confirms the worst. These are not rare or unusual symptoms. They are things most men experience and dismiss every single day as nothing serious. So before you skip this, before you tell yourself this doesn't apply to you, understand that the men who ignored these signs thought the exact same thing. Stay with me, because what you learn here today could genuinely save your life or the life of someone you love. After the age of 50, your body enters a different biological phase. Your cellular repair system doesn't stop. It simply changes how it works. Think of your body like a high-performance engine that has been running for decades. The structure is still strong, but it now needs a different kind of care and attention. If you continue using the same habits you followed in your 20s or 30s, your system slowly becomes less efficient. This doesn't mean your body is failing. It means it's adapting. And if you understand how to work with it, you can actually improve your energy, strength, and overall health. In fact, research from the American Cancer Society shows that early detection of abnormal cellular changes can improve survival rates significantly when recognized and addressed consistently. The first silent sign is changes in urination frequency, especially at night. The mistake most men make is brushing off frequent nighttime bathroom trips as just poor sleep or drinking too much water before bed. They believe it is a minor inconvenience, but in reality, it slowly signals that something deeper is happening internally. Inside your body, an enlarged or inflamed prostate gland begins pressing against the urethra, the tube responsible for carrying urine out of the body. When this happens, your bladder muscles become overworked, and your natural urinary control becomes less effective, and your natural sleep and repair cycle slows down. Over time, this can lead to chronic sleep disruption and fatigue, which many people mistakenly think is just part of aging. The good news is, recognizing this early allows for timely medical evaluation. By speaking to your doctor at the first sign of nighttime urination changes, you allow your body to get the support it was waiting for. Imagine finally sleeping through the night again and waking up with genuine energy restored. The second sign is a weaker interrupted urine stream. Most men assume that a slow urine flow is simply a bladder issue or something that comes with age. But this specific pattern, where the stream starts and stops, or feels noticeably weaker than before, is one of the earliest signals the prostate sends when something is wrong. Inside your body, the prostate sits directly beneath the bladder and surrounds the urethra. When prostate cells begin growing abnormally, they create physical pressure that disrupts the normal flow of urine. Your detrusor muscle, which controls bladder emptying, is forced to work harder and still produces an incomplete result. Over time, this leads to a persistent feeling of incomplete bladder, emptying, and ongoing discomfort. The fix begins with awareness. By tracking these changes and documenting them for your doctor, you provide early and critical diagnostic information. Within weeks of starting proper treatment, many men notice dramatic improvement in flow, comfort, and confidence. The third sign is a burning sensation or pain during urination. Many men mistake this for a urinary tract infection or simply dehydration, and they drink more water, hoping it will go away on its own. But when this burning sensation occurs without an obvious infection, it deserves much closer attention. Inside your body, prostate inflammation or early cellular changes can irritate the surrounding nerve endings and urethral lining. This triggers a painful or burning response that mimics infection but doesn't respond to standard treatments. When this nerve irritation becomes chronic, your pelvic floor muscles also begin to tighten in response, further worsening the discomfort cycle. Over time, this creates a cascade of pelvic pain that affects daily movement, sleep, and even mood. By getting a prostate-specific antigen test, commonly known as a PSA test, early, you can identify whether this discomfort has a prostate-related origin. Once identified, treatment can begin quickly and effectively. The fourth sign is blood in the urine or semen. This is perhaps one of the most alarming signs, yet many men still delay seeking help because it appears only once or disappears quickly. They assume it was a minor injury or a fluke, and they simply move on. But blood in the urine, called hematuria, or blood in the semen, called hematospermia, is never something the body does without a reason. Inside your body, abnormal prostate cell growth can damage tiny blood vessels surrounding the gland, causing them to leak into the urinary or reproductive tract. When this happens, your immune response activates locally but cannot resolve the underlying structural issue. Over time, if ignored, this internal leaking can worsen and may indicate that abnormal cells are growing more aggressively. The good news is that catching this sign early and responding immediately with a medical consultation gives you the highest possible window for effective intervention. The fifth sign is pain or stiffness in the lower back, hips, or pelvis. Most men immediately blame this on poor posture, gym strain, or a long day at the office. And while those causes are common, persistent pelvic or hip pain that doesn't improve with rest or normal treatment is a sign the body is sending from a much deeper place. Inside your body, advanced or spreading prostate changes can begin affecting the bones and surrounding tissues of the pelvis. The prostate gland shares nerve pathways with the lower spine and hip joints, meaning that internal pressure or abnormal growth can radiate pain along these paths. When this happens, your musculoskeletal system compensates, creating tension and stiffness that feels entirely unrelated to the prostate. Over time, this compensation worsens posture, disrupts movement, and affects your quality of life daily. By mentioning this type of pain alongside urinary symptoms to your doctor, you dramatically improve the chances of early and accurate diagnosis. The sixth sign is difficulty achieving or maintaining an erection. Men rarely connect this symptom to prostate health and instead attribute it entirely to stress, age, or relationship dynamics. But when erectile dysfunction appears alongside any of the other signs mentioned here, it becomes a critical piece of the diagnostic picture. Inside your body, the nerves responsible for sexual function run directly alongside the prostate gland. When the prostate becomes inflamed, enlarged, or affected by abnormal cell growth, these nerves experience pressure and disruption. Your natural hormonal signaling between the brain and the reproductive system becomes interrupted, reducing both desire and physical response. Over time, this can deeply affect mental health, self-confidence, and relationship well-being. By approaching this honestly with a urologist rather than suffering in silence, you open the door to treatment options that address both the prostate and the sexual health concern simultaneously. The seventh sign is unexplained fatigue that rest doesn't cure. When your body is fighting internal cellular disruption, it redirects enormous energy toward that internal battle. Most men describe this as feeling deeply tired even after a full night of sleep, or finding that simple tasks require much more effort than before. Inside your body, this type of fatigue is driven by chronic low-grade inflammation, hormonal shifts, and the metabolic cost of an immune system working over time. When this happens, your mitochondria, the tiny energy producers inside your cells, become less efficient, leaving you with persistent exhaustion. Over time, this creates a cycle where poor energy leads to reduced physical activity, which further weakens the body's natural defenses. Recognizing that this unexplained fatigue is not simply a lifestyle issue, but a possible biological signal, is the first and most important step toward getting real answers and real relief. The eighth sign is a feeling of incomplete bladder emptying. After urinating, many men notice they still feel the urge to go again almost immediately, or feel a persistent heaviness in the lower abdomen. This sensation, known medically as post-void residual, is a direct result of the prostate's physical position around the urethra. Inside your body, even a slightly enlarged prostate creates enough pressure to prevent full bladder drainage. Your nervous system continues sending the urgency signal because the bladder is never truly empty. When this happens repeatedly, your bladder wall thickens over time in response to the constant effort, making the problem progressively worse. This leads to discomfort, urgency, and even involuntary leakage in some cases. By identifying this pattern early and discussing it with a healthcare provider, you can receive targeted treatment before the condition progresses into a more complex stage requiring more intensive intervention. The ninth sign is swelling in the legs or pelvic discomfort. This symptom is rarely connected to prostate health in everyday conversation, yet it is one of the body's ways of signaling that lymphatic drainage pathways near the prostate are being affected. Inside your body, the lymph nodes surrounding the prostate help filter waste and manage immune responses. When abnormal prostate cell activity begins to spread or create pressure, these lymph nodes can become enlarged, reducing circulation and causing visible swelling in the legs, ankles, or a deep aching in the pelvic region. When this happens, your circulatory and lymphatic systems must work harder to compensate. Over time, this creates a growing internal burden that affects mobility, comfort, and vascular health. Identifying this connection early and reporting it to your doctor alongside other urinary symptoms can significantly speed up the diagnostic process and lead to more targeted care. The 10th and final sign, and the most overlooked of all, is simply ignoring the signs themselves. Denial is perhaps the most dangerous symptom of all when it comes to prostate health. Most men are conditioned to push through discomfort, dismiss early warning signs, and avoid medical conversations that feel vulnerable or uncomfortable. But your body communicates long before a crisis occurs. It sends quiet, consistent messages through changes in urination, energy, pain, and function, all of which you've now learned to recognize. The prostate does not become a critical health concern overnight. It develops across months and years of ignored signals. By choosing to listen, by scheduling that conversation with your doctor, by getting a PSA test or a digital rectal examination, you are not admitting weakness. You are demonstrating the highest form of personal strength. You see, none of these signs exist in isolation. Your body functions as a complete, deeply connected system where each signal influences the others. When urinary changes combine with fatigue, and that fatigue combines with pelvic discomfort and unexplained pain, together they tell a story that no single symptom could tell alone. Recognizing the pattern across all these signs and responding with urgency creates the internal and medical environment where early intervention becomes possible. It's not about being fearful. It's about being consistently aware of what your body is telling you every single day. And finally, the most important point is this: early action saves lives. This truth is often ignored because most men don't believe these quiet, mild symptoms are serious enough to act on. But once you understand that the silent phase is actually the most powerful window for treatment, everything changes. Remember, your body is not your enemy. It is your partner. It is sending you signals because it wants to heal. It wants to stay strong. And it wants you to listen before the window becomes harder to open. Now tell me, which of these 10 signs surprised you the most? Have you or someone you know experienced any of these quietly? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.